I am excited for today's video. We are going to be talking about belting. So if you are a singer who has always wanted to learn how to belt, especially if you are a classical singer who has always wanted to learn how to belt but has been scared to do it, this video is for you. Now, why am I doing this video when normally my channel is all about mindset and money and marketing for performing artists? Because I was recently invited to do a summit interview for a big summit that was going to be all about singing. And I was invited to do it by the host, who is a music teacher, a singing teacher herself. And she was inspired by my 365 days of song experiment. So she follows me on social media, and she's actually purchased one of my programs. And so she knows me as a business coach, but she got drawn in because I've been singing all the time, every day, and she's been hearing my singing too, not just my business coaching, because of my 365 days of song experiment. Which, by the way, side note, is a really good reminder that if you are a music teacher, you absolutely should also be sharing your music yourself. Not just the content to draw the students in that you think is going to sell them, like the tips to become a better singer for them. There is nothing stronger in terms of social proof than you actually doing the thing yourself that you teach. Okay. Side note over. Now, so when she asked me to do this summit, I expected her to be asking me the business coaching questions in order to support the singers, but she didn't want that. She actually wanted to know about my artistry. She actually wanted to know about what it was like to learn how to belt as a classical singer and a bunch of other questions, and all of them made me so happy. And I realized that I actually wanted to start talking more about my artistry. Like, I wanted to talk about my own art too, because I'm so deeply rooted in the art itself. Like, my whole background is as an artist, and I taught singing for many, many years, and I taught the artistic performance side of singing for all those years too. And I just was so lit up. I was like, yeah, let me bring some of this over to the channel and the podcast. And of course, we're going to keep it still mostly business and social media and mindset and marketing and manifestation, but I cover everything. So why not also cover the art? Okay, if you're new around here, my name is Fiona Flyte. I am a business coach, right? Not really. I'm an all kinds of coach, a prosperity priestess, and a singer and opera singer, classically trained singer myself. I have got a lot of programs, though, that will help you with mindset, marketing, and monetization. And if you check the description, you're going to find a free masterclass, my free Facebook group, my Instagram, my Facebook, and some of my paid programs. Subscribe to the channel, all of that. Now, let us dive into this whole conversation around belting, because I have one thing. Really? I have one thing to tell you that matters more than anything else if you have been wanting to belt but struggling to do it. And that is that you have to get over your fear. So if I look at my own history with belting, I wanted to sing Memory from Cats. It was the very first song that I wanted to sing, and I was 13 years old. And I went to this singing teacher for my very first lesson. My parents had found me this teacher, and I said, I want to sing Memory from Cats. And she looked at me and she said, I don't think you're quite ready for that. How about this song? It's also memory. It wasn't memory. It just had memory in the beginning. And the word memory, it was The Way We Were from the movie The Way We Were by Barbara Streisand. And it went something like, memory, da 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 da. And so it was very much just this sort of mid-range, neutral song. I didn't understand what it meant. I didn't really have any connection to it. Not that Memory from Cats made a lot of sense, since it's about a cat that's going to die soon because it's so old. You know, that's for a mature person too. But the music made me so excited. But she was a no. And so what ended up happening from there is that just step by step, I kept going down the classical route. I kept getting led into classical teacher after classical teacher until I was now studying opera. And I loved the way that opera felt in my body. I really, really did. Like, I loved the feeling of singing opera, although I was never deeply connected to the stories or the words. I mean, those stories are so misogynistic, and they're all about the woman dying and being heartbroken, and it's just ridiculous. I was never drawn into the stories, but I loved the way the music made me feel. Now, the sound itself, here's where I got into trouble, because all this time I still wanted to be able to sing the songs that I loved, which were from Andrew Lloyd Webber, Aspects of Love and Cats, and Stephen Sondheim from Into the Woods, and like my favorite things, Miss Saigon and Les Miserables. Those were the songs and the shows that I really wanted to be in, but I didn't know how to sing them. I didn't know how to sing them the way that I wanted them to sound. They didn't sound right. And so when the point came when I felt like I couldn't do it, I started to get this defense mechanism in place. And I started to think and say things like, well, they're hurting their voices, where belting is wrong and bad. Well, that doesn't sound sustainable. And really, it was just my shadow projecting outwards. Like, really, it was just my jealousy. But I made this into a whole thing, and I developed this mindset that I couldn't learn how to belt because it would hurt my voice, it would be bad. Now, this is where I really want you to understand that there is a different feeling in the throat, in the body, between singing classically or singing opera and singing musical theater or belting. But what I didn't understand, and I hope that you do or will do after hearing me say this, is that just because it feels different does not mean that it is bad or unhealthy. So the truth is that in the opera world, there are people who suffer from vocal fatigue, who develop nodes, who have to have surgeries, who completely destroy their voices. Okay, that's opera. In pop and musical theater, there are people who develop nodes, who get vocal fatigue, who destroy their voices, who have to go on extended periods of vocal rest, etc., right? So in both worlds, there are people, singers, who suffer vocally, who don't have great technique or press too hard or push too much or sing too much or etc. There's so many reasons that someone can develop a vocal injury. And that's a whole nother thing, is I love thinking of it as a vocal injury. Can we just stop with like, there's even anything wrong with these things? Like, oh, you just had terrible technique and therefore you have to suffer because of your bad technique. That's not even the thing. Sometimes you just go to a rock concert and you're yelling in the stands and you actually develop a vocal injury, like you ran too fast and you got a cramp. Like, it's just an injury. And so if we could just take away the shame really around it. Okay, back to belting. So whether you're in opera or in musical theater or contemporary, any kind of music, you can develop a vocal injury. Now, also in opera, there are people who have decades-long careers and never suffer a vocal injury. But you know what? In the pop and the musical theater world, there are also people who sing for decades and never develop a vocal injury. So it's all about sustainability. It's all about how you care for your instrument. And so we need to stop saying that actually there's something inherently good about singing the classical way and unhealthy about singing contemporary, because it's just not true. And I think there's a lot more music teachers, a lot more singing teachers, vocal coaches today who would agree with me than when I was coming up. Because when I was coming up, it was just bel canto. It was like, you're going to study bel canto, and that's the way to sing every other method. But that's not true. There really are distinct differences between whether you're singing in a bel canto style or a pop or contemporary style. It impacts the kind of breath that you take. It impacts the shape of the throat, the shape inside the mouth, the position of the tongue, the laryngeal position. Like, all of these things are different based on what kind of sound you want to make. But they are not inherently good or bad. They're just positions of tongue, of throat, of way in which you take your breath. And so you do want to study how to sing the style that you want to sing with somebody who actually specializes in that technique. You don't want to go to that bel canto teacher if you're wanting to sing musical theater, unless you've heard that bel canto teacher's students and you know that they sing in the style that you want to sing and they do it well. Because there are some bel canto teachers who also have contemporary understanding and can really help you to do that. Similarly, there are people that specialize in the contemporary styles that can help you sing classical. The main thing is, are you able to hear their students, and do their students sound the way that you think that style should be sung. So in my own journey, definitely like 30 or so years ago, I started on the wanting to the sincere path of study to learn how to belt. And we're talking like 30 years ago, like legitimately. And so I started with the Estel technique. I learned how to do the Estel technique, which specifically, for example, has got the difference between a long extended breath for classical to make a big round sound. And for musical theater, for belting, it's in the Estel technique. She recommends a short, quick, high breath, like you're surprised. And then practicing with you're trying to get someone's attention across the street. Hey! And that would be an example of techniques and strategies. So I'm not going to focus in this video teaching you technique because it's not my zone of genius or my zone of interest. It is a zone of excellence because I've studied it for so long. But I think that there are a million, or at least a lot, of very, very good technicians on YouTube, and you can go to listen to them and watch their videos, or better yet, you can get your own teacher. But I'm just wanting to differentiate for you that this was where I started learning how do we make these sounds differently. So I started with the Estel technique. I worked with Lisa Popeil. More recently, I've been working with Michael Scott Harris. I've got a lot of different teachers that have been helping me to learn how to produce a real belt sound. Now, when I started 30 years ago, and that was closer to when I was doing the Estel technique, I would make the sounds and I would do it well, and I would be in the workshop, let's say, and I would be doing it well, and then I would leave the workshop, and then I would be scared to do it on my own because it felt different. Because when you go, hey, that feels in your body really different than, it's just a different feeling, right? And so because of my classical prejudice, I felt or believed that the feeling of was a better feeling than, hey. And it's not true, because now when I can do a sustained belt, and I don't know whether this is be very good coming through the mic, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a clip of me now singing Memory from Cats, because I did it, and I did it very recently. Another night is over, another day is done. I mean, I am so thrilled to share that with you, and you can watch the whole video. I'll link it in the description. The fact that I could do that I now can sing Memory from Cats, I'm 54. It took me this long because I think I recorded this either this year or last year. It took me this long to be able to do it, to get over my fear. That was the only thing standing in my way. I have an extraordinary instrument. I can sing so low. I can sing so high. I can sing in so many different colors and styles. I limited myself. It was never my voice. It was always my fear. And so I hope that this video unlocks for you something around the fear. Whatever fear you're holding, whether it's for singing in musical theater or contemporary styles, whether it's belting because you're a classical singer, or whether it's fear in some other aspect of your life, just put the fear down and decide to experiment through it. Now, technically, if you are experimenting and you start to experience vocal fatigue, if it starts to feel scratchy or hoarse, then that's an indication to take a break or to do it differently. It is not an indication that there is something inherently wrong with belting and you shouldn't do it. And this is, again, just how I used it as an excuse. When I would feel hoarse or I would feel a little bit of tightness or constriction, I would be so scared that I was going to ruin my voice instantaneously that I would just stop for another 5 years until I got up the courage and that desire inside of me reached a crescendo where I simply couldn't ignore it and I would try to do it again. I don't think that it needs to take you quite as many decades as it took me. If I had just realized that, okay, it's a little constricted, and so I'm going to try again, but I'm going to open my vocal cords wider. I'm going to try again and I'm going to do it, this way with a different breath. Or now I'm going to take a break and I'll try again tomorrow. tomorrow, or I've been doing this every day for a week, and every time I feel constricted, well, I'm going to sign up for a lesson. And eventually that was what I did. And it was Michael Scott Harris who helped me to get over the final hump and just go for it, because I just kept signing up for lessons until I was feeling confident enough to practice enough on my own, which is where I'm at now, where I can just go, okay, like that felt great, or let's play with that because that didn't feel great. Always definitely trust how it feels. Put the fear down, trust how it feels, and go for it. All right. I hope that this was so helpful to you. I mean, this is just, of everything I've talked about, this matters to me so much because it's been a life goal and I've achieved it, and we can achieve our dreams, which reminds me of the free masterclass, Pie in the Sky. I created it. It's in the description. There's a link. It's completely free. I created it because I got somebody in my messages on Facebook saying that he needed to unfollow me. He didn't want any more of my content in his feed because my content was too far on the other side of Pie in the Sky. And I really thought about this and I was like, what am I saying that is so on the other side of Pie in the Sky? Like, it's not even pie in the sky, it's on the other side of pie in the sky. And what I realized is that it's that I actually believe that your dreams can come true. And so if you don't want to take personal responsibility for your dreams coming true, then yeah, don't follow me. Don't subscribe to the channel. Don't watch the free masterclass. But if you're like, Fiona, I want my dreams to come true, then subscribe to the channel, watch the free masterclass, and join some of my paid programs. And let's do it. Let's get going and let's make your dreams come true, because you need to go out into the world and shine your light. You have a voice, you deserve to be heard, and the world deserves to hear you.